Reynolds. She's a language and international health major from Peachtree City, Georgia. She's a sophomore presenting her presentation, Raising the Bar.
Hit an all-time low in his life when he was arrested in New York for breaking and entering in order to feed his drug addiction. Sadly, this is a reality for many, as it's reported by the Bureau for Justice Statistics. In 2015, approximately 7 million Americans were incarcerated. In South Carolina alone, over 20,000 are incarcerated each year. To put that into perspective, that's almost the entirety of Clemson's student population. The U.S. prison system needs to implement music and arts as a means of rehabilitating prisoners. I've been a part of music and arts for most of my life now, and I've seen firsthand the impact it can have on someone. I've also worked closely with Better Way Ministries in Peachtree City, which seeks to rehabilitate ex-convicts as well as those with substance abuse problems. The problem with the U.S. prison system is that it's not focused on rehabilitation, and if creative arts interventions were supported more widely, we would see lower rates of reoffending or recidivism and a higher quality prison system. To begin, let's look at the current state of the U.S. prison system. As I said before, the problem is that it's not focused on rehabilitation, which is evident in the overall rate of recidivism as well as the overall prison environment. It was reported by the Bureau for Justice Statistics that within 3 years of being released, 2/3 are rearrested. And within 5 years, that jumps to 3/4. This is one of the highest rates of recidivism globally. Bradford noted in his examination of the prison environment that a myriad of factors contribute to the rate of recidivism, but that the one with the highest attributable risk is the lack of programs dedicated to developing skills necessary for acclimating to the outside world. The problem is that our focus in our prison system is more on punishment and deterrence than it is getting people the help that they need. Benson wrote for the American Psychology Association that a combination of strict sentencing guidelines, budget shortfalls, and primarily the punitive philosophy in America were responsible for making American prisons more unpleasant and less likely to rehabilitate their inmates, instead leaving them feeling isolated with no motivation to change their lifestyle. Now, I'm sure if you've seen shows like Lock Up or movies like The Green Mile, you may think you have an idea of what a dramatized prison environment's like. However, it's not that far off. In 1990, Bonta published his thesis examining prison and punishment in prison life, in which he described prisons as barren landscapes, devoid of even the most basic elements of humanity, and even detrimental to the humanity of the offender. Now, I don't know about you, but if that offender had any chance at parole or becoming a part of my community, I would want their humanity completely intact. Music and art seeks to return this sense of humanity to these offenders. And it begins with individuals like you and I supporting the few programs like this in existence and the amazing work that they're doing. Laura Pukenko founded the Prison Arts Initiative in Southern California, where she came into prisons to work with them on creating self-portraits. She found that many of them struggled with the aspect of introspection, yet through many workshops with them, which resulted in beautiful pieces of art, they were able to reflect on their past behavior and their current mentality and ultimately transform their pain into paint. New York's rehabilitation through the arts program seeks to create a supportive environment and has a policy that whenever there's a vocal or theatrical showcase, it's presented not only to the general population, but to the guards and the wardens as well. When prisoners see support like this from their community, be it inside or outside of the prison, they report higher levels of motivation to do better for themselves. Spartanburg Detention Center is currently the only fully committed therapeutic arts program in South Carolina. And April 6th through May 18th, they'll actually be showcasing and selling their students' work at Wofford College. I would encourage each and every one of you to go and even consider buying some of these pieces, because this support is crucial to the continuation of these programs. There's also websites such as prisonart.com and the prisonartscoalition.com, which allow prisoners to sell the pieces that they've made, including sculptures, paintings, sketches, poems, and 100% of those funds go directly back into allowing these programs to operate within our prisons. You see, the more support that these programs see, the more successful they'll become. And those who have been rehabilitated can become the best advocates for the efficacy of these interventions. After doing a Scottish case study on the impact of arts in prisons, Lintet said that the best way to educate and spread awareness of these interventions is through the personal narratives of those involved and being backed by the already existing scientific evidence. You see, these interventions don't just work where they're implemented, but they've been proven to promote self-reflection, create supporting environments, and most importantly, develop social and cognitive skills necessary for life on the outside. California is currently the only state with this reform implemented statewide, and they've quickly become world-renowned for their high-impact, innovative approach they've taken to addressing the state's critical public safety needs. The Justice Policy Journal published Brewster's study on the impact of the California Arts Program, and he found that these programs teach time management, intellectual flexibility, emotional control, active initiative, and self-confidence. In addition to the positive correlation between arts education and life effectiveness attitudes, California has also seen a reduction in disciplinary reports and a higher enrollment in education and vocational programs. Now in 2017, New York Times quoted Tom Lackey, a Republican state assemblyman, who said he originally thought of arts programs as an incredible waste of money. However, after seeing what California had done in their communities, he commented, "This investment yields a return." Investing in these programs will lead to a positive prison reform focused on getting people the help that they deserve instead of just profiting off their past mistakes. Of rehabilitation through the arts participants, after 3 years, only 5% have been rearrested. Compare that to New York State average of 40%, or the national average we looked at earlier of almost 65%. The impact of these programs cannot be understated. Today we've looked at the problem with the U.S. prison system and a solution that's proven to work. If we were to see an increase in arts interventions, we would see lower rates of reoffending and safer communities across the nation. After Aaron Jackson was arrested in New York, he participated in rehabilitation through the arts, where he played the Cowardly Lion in a production of Wizard of Oz. It's after that show that he said, "I found the courage to stop making destructive choices. I found the heart to care about other people. I found the brains not only to earn a college degree, but to share that knowledge with others. Like Dorothy, I realized it is within my power to leave here and return home." Thank you.